We spoke briefly before we all came on the floor about how best to recognize this moment, this tragic and sad moment, and we decided that one of the ways to do that would be for those on the Senate floor that felt they wanted to say something, but then that we as a Senate, the 32 members that are here, would be in, I guess, 31 today because of Senator Vanderpute not being here, but those of us on behalf of Senator Vanderpute and her family pausing before we start the day with a moment of silence, just us. And I think it's entirely appropriate that we do that. This session, we have enjoyed great success as a Senate where we've come together on a variety of very hard issues. And that is symbolic, I think, of what this body is. There's not a member on this floor or the Lieutenant Governor that doesn't, when we pause for just a moment, recognize that we're part of something very special. Not so much because we're here getting to deal with issues of public policy, not so much just because we're here getting to touch other lives, but in large part because of the relationships we have with each other. We're in a situation where we become close personal friends with people that we have very disparate points of view from time to time. People that we come from different backgrounds. Those friendships become so deep that we are, and we say this frequently, but it bears repeating, we become like family with each other. And so we experience the high highs that families experience with each other just this past weekend. Just this past weekend for Senator Vanderpute and her Governor for the Day ceremony, where we got to enjoy one of the high moments of her life and one of the high moments of her family's life. And then today, we get this very tragic news. We are a family. And it's moments like this that I think we probably ought to pause, recognize what we mean one to each other, and at the end of this moment, we pause on behalf of Senator Vanderpute, her children, her grandchild, and we recognize that she's part of our family, her family is part of our family, and we recognize her loss, we mourn for her loss, we pray for her loss, but we also hold her to each of ourselves and try to pass strength on to her. So, Mr. President, thank you for this opportunity. God bless all of you, and God bless Senator Vanderpute and her family.
Well said. Thank you, Senator Watson. You know, your comments brought to mind when one of our colleagues, Senator West, lost his son. And I was in his office. We grew closer just being there. Chair recognizes Senator Lucio.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Senator Watson. Little Rex is now an angel. That's in heaven. That's what Natisha texted me with earlier this morning. And I broke down. Because it's like Senator Watson said, a family member, 31 of us, and all these beautiful people sitting around here we call staff. Mother Teresa reminded us of that before she passed away. She says the reason we're not at peace in the world is because we forget we belong to one another. Well, little Rex this little angel in heaven has brought us together in a realization that we do belong to one another. And when a member of this family hurts, we all hurt. And we all are considerate, and we all are understanding, and we all feel. I just got off the phone prior to our governor gaveling us in with Leticia, and it's very heartbreaking to hear someone you love and respect over the phone hurting as much as she's hurting. And she told me to pray for her family, which I intend to do continuously today. You all are welcome to join with us upon adjournment a few minutes afterwards, right up there in the Civil Rights Room, where we will pray the glorious mysteries of a rosary for that little angel. But it's just very hard to understand at times why things happen the way they do. The celebration this weekend, as Chairman Watson pointed out, and celebrating life and all the wonderful things that life has to offer. And now we have to turn around and celebrate death, life in that child that was given to us for about 9 months, I believe. And it's just hard to understand and sometimes accept that those things happen to some of us. And I know that for those of us that are deep in faith, we can place ourselves in Leticia's position and Pete's position as grandparents and feel an inward pain that's indescribable. So I think it's time that we should take right now in finding out who we are and where we're going from here, and why we should continue to reach out and embrace one another, truly embracing one another and what's truly right in this life we live. That's what my faith has taught me, and I'm sure that that's what everyone's faith has taught them on the Senate floor. I was privileged to be at a Bible study morning where we prayed for little John Mark, little baby in Senator Hancock's office that was born about that big, fit in your hand. He's still struggling, fighting for his life. Senator Hancock, Senator Estes, myself, took part in a Bible study, and we spoke about what we're speaking about on this floor right now. Right before little Rex passed away, so I guess we're all hurting right now, and it's a time to meditate, and it's a time to reflect. As Senator Watson said, we truly belong to one another, and it's time that we completely embrace each other and be totally understanding that we need to rise to the occasion every minute of every day so that we can make a difference for those that follow. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Lucio. Senator Campbell, did you wish to say something? You're recognized.
Thank you. This morning, when I talked to Senator Van de Putte, she did ask for our prayers, wanted me to ask for that for her. And you know, prayers are the first thing we should reach for, because that's where the true comfort's going to lie. And while we go about our daily life, walk in the light, those of us with our faith and belief in God, times like this make us, sometimes there are questions, but I think what is good, something I've heard in the past, is especially when we have dark times, like this is never doubt in the dark what we've learned in the light. And we do know that to be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord for those who know the Lord and for our innocents, such as our babies. So we'll pray peace for her, and she appreciates that. So I wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Campbell. Chair recognizes Senator Nelson to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are family, Senator Watson, and my heart aches for our sister this morning. You know, Senator Vanderpute and I talked all the time about our proudest caucus that we belonged to was the grandparent caucus. And we reminded each other that we do what we do here in the Texas Senate for our grandchildren and our children and all of our children and grandchildren in Texas. And I think the greatest tribute that we can pay to Senator Vanderpute is to continue on with our business of passing legislation. In fact, this morning in Health and Human Services Committee, I just found out about Rex and was going down the list of bills to hear, and the first bill that the senator was there to take up the bill was Senator Duell. And it just happened that that bill was a newborn screening bill. And we had testimony from parents who lost children who asked us to pass that legislation. And we're going to hear many, many other pieces of legislation that will help our children and our grandchildren. And I think the thing that we can do best for Senator Vanderpute is to carry on about our business. And I want Senator Vanderpute and her family to know that our thoughts and prayers are with her and her family, and that we're going to carry on and make this state a good place for our kids. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. I'm going to go to Senator Duell. Senator Duell, thanks for trying to reach out to me this morning, and Senator Zamperini, thanks for reaching out. Just to pick up on what you all just said, when I spoke to Senator Vanderpute a little while ago, she said, Senator Campbell, she was feeling our prayers. She was feeling our love. And it's tough for her, but she was looking forward to seeing Rex in the future. So she thanks all of her colleagues for picking up her legislation this week, and she said she plans to be back on Monday, as tough as that may be, because she needs to get on. But she recognizes Senator Duell.
Thank you, Mr. President. As our founding fathers used the word providence, that as we had came to order in the Health and Human Services Committee, we did a newborn screening bill for congenital heart disease, and we don't know yet why Rex passed away, but that is a congenital heart disease. Undetected congenital heart disease is a reason that children die unexpectedly. But Letitia is a very special person. I helped her, along with many others, celebrate her Governor of the Day Saturday, and that child was there, and we've always had a special bond. Her daughter, my son, one of our sons graduated from medical school at the same time, and we follow their residencies, and her daughter practices in San Antonio. Our son is finishing up and getting ready to move to San Antonio, and our first grandson was born November 16th. Rex was born November 19th, and we exchanged pictures through the telephone of those kids, and we talked about a day when they'd both have their photographs on the composite, and they'd perhaps come here as adults and look at our pictures up there, and Rex won't participate in that dream now, and that's pretty tough. But I go back and think about this state we call Texas and this nation, and Senator West and I grew up in South Oak Cliff in different worlds, and I think about the fact that the memorial service, the celebration of his son's life, was at a church across the street from the elementary school that I attended in the early 60s. It was segregated, and I think about where Letitia and our other Latino members were and African American members were as children, and how things have changed. And I think much as Abraham Lincoln asked the people in Gettysburg when he gave the Gettysburg Address to dedicate their lives to the nation, recognizing that the men who died at that battle were really the ones that consecrated the land. And I would just hope that we can dedicate our work in the next 3 weeks to the state of Texas and to Rex. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Patrick.
I was sitting here thinking yesterday our spirited debate and our embrace at the end. We do come together. I was thinking what Senator Watson said about at times like this we need to pause for her family. But I think this is maybe a message for all of us to pause too. You know, we're all one phone call away from being on our knees. And we get so wrapped up in life of what we think is important until something really important happens. And so as we all are very busy and we spend time away from our families, this is a good time to know how blessed we are every day when tragedy does not strike us, when our hearts are not broken. And before we leave, to embrace our wife or embrace our children or my grandson who and I think all of us who have children and grandchildren, you know, it's not supposed to be that they leave before we do from this world. But it's a time for us to really reflect as individuals what's really important in life. And the work we do here is important. I understand that. And we'll go on with the work, and I know she would want us to. But her heart is broken today, and it will probably never heal. But God's grace and His promise and His peace and His comfort. And so many. We've had a number of funerals here just since I've been here in 2007 for members' parents or members' children. And so as I pray for Letitia today, it hit me like a brick, like it hit Eddie when we were in the committee this morning and others. I just think we also have to pause for our own families and our own blessings, Governor, and pray for each other on a daily basis and really, really mean it, Senator Lucio, really care about each other. Not just as senators, but everyone we come across, our staff and our neighbors and our friends, because people hurt every day. And this is going to be visible hurt, and we're going to know. But we have to pray for others who are hurting that we don't see that pain that's so obvious. And so I just think it's a time for us to pause and reflect on what's really important. And today, what's really important is our friend and our colleague, and that we should pray for her. Thank you, Governor.
I agree. Chair recognizes Senator Whitmire.
Thank you, Mr. President, members, and I really don't think I can add to the sincere comments that have been made. Senator Watson, your remarks were very revealing. About all I can add maybe is a historical perspective, which I'll do before I sit down, but from a personal standpoint, to amplify what has been said, I was sitting in conference working with the House and Sylvester Turner, and we got a text from Dr. Duell, and things just came to a complete halt because we could see what was transpiring. It's amazing. This is kind of grandchildren's corner over here with the Nelsons and Senator Duell. And, of course, I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but Whitney's 3 months pregnant. So I think it does make us all pause. And what I would like to say on behalf of Senator Vanderpute, she would probably, because she's so caring, is we need to recognize that there are Texans who are experiencing heartache this morning and loss that do not have the support system that Senator Vanderpute will have. There's probably an undocumented mother somewhere alone in this state that's not going to have the kind of support system that the Vanderpute family appreciates this morning. I think it's also appropriate to point out again how we care for one another. It was Senator Campbell that took Senator Garcia to the hospital last week. And once again, she's administering and caring for Senator Van Putte as a senator, but certainly as a medical doctor. I will close by saying, when I got to the Senate in '83, I often mentioned how the senators were good people, kind of crusty back in those days, and I could give you a lineup of Oscar Mozzie and others that came on the Senate for a couple hours, did their business, and got out of here. It's a different body now. I don't want to judge those gentlemen, and I think a lady back in '83. But the fellowship and the caring that Senator Watson, Nelson, Campbell, Duell, Dan mentioned is so genuine that I really don't think we could ever describe it adequately to where our constituents and the people of Texas do it. And I would also suggest there's probably not another governing body that enjoys that. I know in Congress they don't have it because they don't even know the person next door to them. I don't know how they survive in that environment. But the greatest thing about serving in this body, as we all know, and we're witnessing it today, is the personal relationships in the family that'll be relationships that last a lifetime. Senator Van Putte knows that. She described it Saturday in her governor for the day, and I'm just thankful to be able to be present today and watch this outreach of love and caring for a colleague that we would not enjoy if we were not blessed to be members of the state Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Whitmire. Chair recognizes Senator Zaffirini.
Mr. President and members, it's unbelievable that only this weekend we celebrated the love, the joy, the pride, the excitement of Senator Van Putte and her family. Baby Rex was at all the festivities. Such a beautiful child, one of 6 grandchildren that Pete and Leticia Van Putte loved so very much. She was so incredibly proud of her family, and they were so incredibly proud of her. And we thank God that she has not only our support system in the Texas Senate, but that she also has that strong support system of an extended family. For all of you who were here, you witnessed that love and that joy. Today, we are witnessing the disruption of the natural order of things. Children expect to bury their parents and their grandparents and worry about it. And parents' greatest fear, grandparents' greatest fear, is to bury a child or a grandchild. Senator Van Putte feels that agony today. This morning when she called me, I was presiding over a government organization. I saw her name on my caller ID, and something just told me that something was wrong. And I walked out immediately. Senator Schwertner, thank you so much for taking over the meeting with no advance notice. You did a beautiful job, I know. But the agony in her voice was just incredible. It just breaks your heart to know that she has gone from such a wonderful high to such a depth of heartbreak. And each of us feels that with her. I've communicated with her several times today, and repeatedly I have said that we will all handle her bills in committee and on the floor. I've repeatedly said that all of us are ready to help, and she knows that. And all she has asked for is this, that we pray for her and for her family. And I know that we will, and I know that it will be heartfelt. And I know that Senator Van Putte is so incredibly strong and such a woman of deep faith that somehow, I can't tell you how, somehow she, only because of her love for others and their love for her, because truly she is loved so very much because she is so loving. It is her love and her strength that will help her cope. I don't know how she's going to handle coming back Monday, but each of us needs to reach out before she comes to the floor and try to interact before, so that she will have a slower emotional transition into this body. But trust me, Senator Van Putte will rely on her faith, and she will pray, and she will be supported by her family, and she will come back to continue her great work for the people of Texas, the people who love her, the people who need her. Thank you, Mr. President and members.
Thank you, Senator Zaffarani, and thank you, members, for those heartfelt and beautiful words. If you would, let's all bow our heads in a moment of silence, please. Thank you.